to say anymore.
It's been around 15 hours since my first exposure to the Monty shit show. So far, the side effects have been limited to disgust, ridicule, disbelief, and a lot of rage. I mean, my cats are trying to eat garlic. No one is normal in this household anymore. So I somehow managed to get through the first episode of Harry and Meghan's monetized invasion of privacy. To say it was bad is probably the biggest understatement of the century. It starts off with this disclaimer. We tried to reach the royal family for comment, but they refused. As if the royal family is in any position to comment on this. And Meghan and Harry know this, but they're banking on people's ignorance. When someone who doesn't know about the royal family's never complain, never explain doctrine, mantra, way of life, whatever you want to call it, policy, then they would just think that the royal family is being dismissive, difficult, uncooperative, basically is purposely not responding to anything. When the truth is, and Harry in particular, and of course Meghan know this, is that they can't respond. The most we've seen in terms of a response was the now infamous "recollections may vary" that the Queen stated, may she rest in peace, right after the Oprah interview. This episode was primarily focused on their love story. It starts off with the interviewer presenting to Meghan and Harry this clip that they're pretending they've unearthed of Meghan being interviewed back in October of 2015. I believe it was in connection with this Dove female empowerment thing that she was involved with.
Prince William or Prince Harry? I don't know. Harry. Harry? Sure.
What year was that?
I find it entirely unbelievable that Meghan and Harry, particularly Meghan, because she is a self-confessed control freak, didn't know that this was going to happen. The second thing is that I believe this clip was inserted for a very specific reason, to combat everyone who says that Meghan knew exactly who Harry was and in fact targeted him. Now, thanks to Tom Bower and all of the interviews he conducted with people who knew Meghan from her childhood and beyond, we know that Meghan was pretty much obsessed with Princess Diana from the get-go. One of her friends, I believe it was Nikki, said that they watched the funeral and they watched Harry and William walk behind their mother's coffin. Meghan was photographed outside Buckingham Palace in 1996. So the notion that she wasn't familiar with the royal family and the global impact and Harry himself is preposterous. I mean, just listen to Harry's remark right after seeing it.
This just, again, shows how little you knew.
It pretty much confirms what I just said. What I think happened is the interviewer unknowingly planted a seed in Meghan's mind. At that point, it could be possible that Harry wasn't exactly in her sights, but that could have been the question that instigated her entire scheme to land Harry. If so, Meghan should write a thank you note in her fancy handwriting to that interviewer for inadvertently playing matchmaker. They were both recording video diaries ever since Megxit.
Maybe this is the first video diary? I don't know. We've talked about it. We keep talking about it.
Now, they say that a friend suggested they do this because everything's gonna be a blur and they're not gonna remember, so they need a record of things.
A friend of ours actually suggested that we document ourselves through this period of time.
To which I ask, why? Why do you need a record of things? And also, isn't it convenient how every time they start something or do something, it's a friend? A friend told Meghan to write a children's book. A friend told them to do this. A friend told them to do that. It's always some kind of a friend. But regardless, to me, this is clear evidence that these people from the get-go had a plan to share their side of the story, their truth. With Meghan's Oscar-winning Amber Heard performance, there is no other alternative. She wouldn't be putting on an act if it was just for personal records. Then we are given a brand new version of how they met. Now, true to form, this version completely contradicts any other version we've heard of before, particularly the version that Harry and Meghan themselves shared during their engagement interview.
I'd never even heard about her until this friend said Meghan Markle. I was like, right, okay, give me a bit of background. What's going on here?
So according to that version, what we glean is a mutual friend asked Harry if he would like to meet with this Meghan Markle from Suits, and he goes,
I'd never watched Suits. I'd never heard of Meghan before.
and I believe that that's why she pretended she didn't know anything about him, because she wanted to even out the playing field. You don't know me, I don't know you.
Meghan and I met over Instagram.
I was scrolling through my feed, the dog ears. That was the first thing. I was like, who is that?
Fast forward 5 years, and suddenly now he was scrolling through Instagram, and they expect us to believe that the most eligible bachelor on the planet happened to see this woman with a dog filter, the Snapchat filter, and go,
OMG, who is she? She has to be mine.
and she was virtually a nobody at the time. No one knew who Meghan Markle was, including Prince Harry.
I'd never heard of Meghan before.
So we're meant to believe that version over a nobody who was on a manhunt for years, particularly in England, who set out to target a prince, the most eligible bachelor on the planet. Sure, Jan. And don't these people have fact checkers? I mean, I find myself asking this question every single time they put something out, whether it's the podcast archetypes or whether it's an interview, whether it's something they said. They always contradict each other. I mean, they contradicted each other during the Oprah interview themselves with that, oh, what's the baby gonna look like? Oh my God, that's so racist incident. And here they are doing it again. It's embarrassing. What's the point of employing all these people at Netflix and archetypes if not even one of them can dig up the interview from 2017 and go, oh, excuse me, we may have a problem here. Then they talk about the beginnings of their romance. I'm not gonna go through this in detail because it's nothing we haven't heard before. 2 dates, back to back, they were crazy for each other. And then he very quickly invited her to Botswana. Before they get to Botswana, there's this very prolonged part about Harry's childhood and how the cameras were very intrusive, the press, the media, ever present, and of course, a very hefty dose of Princess Diana. So he's not only monetizing his own family.
Harry, are you putting money before family?
Because they've opened up their homes to the camera. Archie features quite a bit in this first episode alone. So much for protecting my children from the Truman Show. But they're also monetizing a dead woman. Now, it's nothing new, of course, and we all expected it because what else do they have other than their victimhood and sob stories? What's all the more sickening is Harry's relentless comparisons between Meghan and Diana. In fact, he says they're so similar.
So much of what Meghan is so similar to my mum. She has the same compassion, she has the same empathy, she has this warmth about her.
The woman is literally copying your mother, your dead mother. She apparently put on Diana's favorite perfume on their first date together. He talks about how kind she is, how compassionate she is, how warm she is, while her poor father, who gave her everything, is rotting away in Mexico, suffering from a stroke, probably brought on, at least in part, by all the stress that she has put him through since 2017, 2018. They use Harry's childhood and building up to his young adult years of spending time in Africa, and specifically Botswana, to segue into the Botswana trip that they both had very early on in their relationship. I'm talking, they only met each other in person 2 times, those 2 back-to-back dates, before they decided to go to Africa together. That sets off alarm bells to anyone who knows anything about narcissistic relationships. And it is just textbook. It is so scary. They're charismatic, perfect, fun-loving, basically everything that you want in a person, they manage to emulate and trick you in order to ensnare you. And aside from how fast things progress, you can also see this side of Meghan that has pretty much disappeared as soon as she snagged him, which is this really childish, fun-loving, goofy, the opposite of high-maintenance girl next door. Now, according to Tom Bauer, she researched the out of Harry before meeting him. And so she obviously found out that he's goofy, he's fun-loving, he's immature, he's childish, he's effervescent, you know, everything that you can see in these photos that has seemingly disappeared. And don't forget that William was actually concerned about the speed with which this relationship was moving, and Harry was offended. And Meghan probably said, if you talk to your brother again, I'm gonna break up with you. Just like she said, if you don't release a statement while I bait the media on my Instagram with my bracelet for them to stop hounding me,
I'm going to break up with you.
It was ultimatum after ultimatum, and he still stuck with her and thought that she was the best thing since sliced bread, so yeah. Interestingly, there wasn't anything about her childhood or upbringing in this episode. Can't say that they don't touch upon that in future episodes. I'm sure her mom's gonna feature, but all we got from Meghan's side were a couple of really close friends whose sole job was singing her praises, because that's the only way you can exist within Meghan Markle's circle of friends. And as a result, they had nothing to contribute, nothing of value whatsoever. I hope I'm remembering everything, by the way, because I'm doing this from memory. There is no way in heck I am rewatching that. You can't make me do it. I won't do it. Now, they do touch upon the media intrusions that women who marry into the monarchy suffer from, and that's where Catherine comes in, and of course Princess Diana. It's funny that they left out Sarah Ferguson because she was pretty much demonized by the media as well, but gee, I wonder why they left her out. Perhaps it's because her behavior is what attracted negative coverage. Who else do we know who shares similar traits? 50 points to Gryffindor if you type the right answer in the comment section. I am really dreading getting into the next 5 episodes because the end of this first one starts leading up to the entire, oh, the whole world was out to get Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle is an angel who did nothing wrong. It's just everyone else on the planet who is wrong. The joke is that Meghan says at one point,
books are written about our story from people who I don't know. Doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
no, Meghan, we don't want to hear it from you because we've heard it before at least 1,064 times, and you are a proven liar. You and your husband have zero credibility. You're pretty much in the same category as Amber Heard. The things that come to mind when I think of the first episode are cheesy, contrived, Amber Heard. I mean, if that wasn't an incredible Amber Heard impersonation, I don't know what is. Someone needs to give her an Oscar just for that. Intrusive, that privacy went out the window. In a nutshell, it's a miracle that I even managed to survive. I hope I didn't forget anything. I mean, if I did, it probably doesn't matter. And it's not like I won't be making 5 more videos about the remaining 5 episodes. Why? Just why? Why do I do this to myself? I don't get paid enough for this. I'm gonna go play Mass Effect.